Well, hello everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm glad to be back to a Tuesday and be able to update you on a few cases. Uh, As you saw by the thumbnail, the first ones, well, we all know the Moscow murders that's been in the news media a lot, even though there's a ongoing gag order. There was actually a hearing today. We're going to get into that in a little bit. Not that anything was resolved. You know how these things go with the process, on and on. So basically, I could be actually deciding on that later. But the first one I want to talk to you about today, in regards to legal matters and things that are going on, is Barry Morphew, in regards to the disappearance of his wife, Suzanne, in 2020 on Mother's Day, quite some time ago. Now, when I covered this case, it was to me quite outstanding because actually, with Mr. Morphew, let me show you he and his wife, Suzanne. Um, Suzanne went missing on Mother's Day, and when they went for probable cause, I remember reading the arrest affidavit. It was 148 or 149 pages long, and I remember covering it with Jay from True Serial at the time, and we were going back and forth because Suzanne Morphew's body has never been found. Almost all of the evidence that was listed in the probable cause affidavit was pretty much circumstantial. It was all times and clips and messages back and forth, um, just leading that Barry Morphew was pretty much indicated as suspect, but there was no crime scene, no DNA of his, nothing like that to tie him. There wasn't a crime scene or a body, just her disappearance. Um, it was pretty controversial at the time. Yeah, the media was going back and forth. Attorneys were all weighing in. There's Reddits out there. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there. Almost everyone tried Barry Morphew on this indictment in the media. It was one of the first cases that I saw like really, really blowing up all over the place like this, just from indictment and probable cause, indictment and warrant. It got me more interested in actually covering true crime here on YouTube. Although I had been reading legal documents daily and I was fascinated and talking to people about cases and with my friends and in my circle of people every day, um, I wasn't actually doing it out here, on a regular basis on YouTube. I was doing other things. I was having conversations about other issues, other things that I thought were important. Um, this is the actual case that got me, really intrigued on maybe I want to do more. That and of course Johnny Depp um versus Amber Heard. Well, this one was the one that was behind the scenes, making my brain just click, 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 click on a regular basis. Well, this case ended up being asked by the prosecution to be pulled based on they needed more time to discover the body, that they had some clues, some tips and everything, and that they didn't want to go to trial without the body if there was a chance of finding it. And that was in April of 2022. Now, it was dismissed with the option uh, by the judge to pursue later because the prosecution is the one that pulled it. And when I say the word prosecution, immediately my mouth goes dry because, in regards to this case, the prosecution did so much wrong. They've actually been sanctioned. They were sanctioned on discovery issues. There's an active investigation in regards to Linda Stanley in her prosecution of this case in that county. Prosecution was so horrible. And also, Barry Morphew has filed at the beginning of May the end of April of this year, a $15 million civil lawsuit in re- against everyone involved with the case. Prosecution, FBI agents, investigating agents, all the law enforcement officers, everyone, all the prosecution department, everybody involved with the case, as far as prosecution, has been named by name. Every investigator, every agent in this $15 million lawsuit, because he says he's been defamed, his reputation has been ruined. It was wrongful prosecution. It was all circumstantial evidence. One of the biggest things that went against the case was that they found DNA from another person in a vehicle of Suzanne Morphew, and it wasn't disclosed to the defense. And that particular DNA actually belonged to someone that was from another state that was listed on the sex offenders list. This is a really big issue. Now, granted, that bit of DNA could have been there at any time. We don't know, but it was located on the outside, I believe, of the glove compartment, on the outside of it on the vehicle. So it was inside the cab of the vehicle, inside, not on the outside or anything. Um, Big controversy about that. I mean, we all know you find something, you definitely should be disclosing it to the defense, especially if it indicates another person could have been involved in this. You know, that was just the way the case was handled was terrible. People were out there giving interviews. I remember a lot of those in witnesses and even investigators. There was actually people in the prosecution office itself who actually left because of how things were being handled by Linda Stanley, and gave interviews to say that they were actually told not to discuss certain things, not to disclose certain things, not to actually come forward with some of the information, all really bad. The fact that this person is Linda Stanley has actually been sanctioned is a good thing, and there's an ongoing investigation. And unfortunately, this is not the only case that had issues. She was also held up for not doing her continuing education that you need to do in order to be, any type of professional, a doctor, a lawyer, like all of these things. 3 years she didn't do it, nor did she file the plan on how she would be actually coming forward to rectify that. So she was sanctioned. She almost lost her law license. Can you imagine losing your license while you're representing a county, a district, the 11th district of Colorado? You're representing them as the prosecuting as the prosecutors, the head prosecutor, the DA, and you don't even bother to do your continuing education. You put your law degree on, you put your law license, your ability to actually practice and hold this position on the line. And she's just not, does not appear to be someone who crosses their eyes, crosses their T's and dots their I's. Not very organized in that way. Like something's going on there. What a mess. What a damn mess it actually was. And it's still going on. There was a hearing recently. Um, because the attorneys for Barry Morphew, Iris Etienne, I believe is how we say her name. Um, she's been pushing very, very hard to get the charges actually just tossed completely. She no longer wants the dismissal on record as being able to be filed again. She wants it completely removed. She says that they are actually targeting Barry Morphew, that there's not enough evidence to hold any of this up, even though it actually went through a grand jury and preliminary hearings and with enough evidence to actually go forward. They are of the mind to push to have it expunged completely out. They want it gone. They just want it off. And during that hearing, we had Judge Amanda Hunter actually presided over that hearing, and Mark Herbert was there to represent the state. Um, And Iris went forward with how damaging this is to Barry Morphew. I mean, I believe he was there via telephone. And I have linked a video of the whole proceedings in the description for you if you would like to listen in. She made some compelling points in regards to how damaging it is to be tried by the media, to have all of this information leaked out there while it was going on. Because while this proceedings were going on in 2021, all through up until April of 2022 when the case was dropped temporarily. Um, Everything was released. There were no gag orders in place on things. Everything was out there. And so there was a lot of media back and forth. Everybody was speculating. There was a lot that's done. Barry Morphew feels that his reputation has been damaged beyond repair, and he wants to file a civil suit against everybody, but he also was taking this shot with his attorney to go to the judge and say, you can't just do what the prosecution says and drop it. Like, we are demanding that you actually get rid of it. But here's what Judge Amanda Hunter then decided, that no, I don't have the authority to do that, since the prosecution had full authority to bring the case and then is pulling it themselves, as is their prerogative, to actually go forth at a later date. It's already gone through grand jury and preliminary as having enough evidence to prosecute. So, like, no, I don't have the authority to just do that because you say it's damaging in the media for him and this, that, and the other thing. Um, so no, it was denied. The motion compelled to have everything pulled and expunged was denied outright. Um, there may be another trial. I mean, they may force forward. Who knows? We don't know where it is in the investigation because currently none of that is being released. Okay. Um, you know, he's not wrong about being tried in public. I agree, Jujubee. She's like, Barry isn't wrong, but I think he is guilty. I'm kind of with you on that one, although I'm kind of reserving a little bit because I will say that most of the evidence was actually circumstantial. However, you can prove murder, as we all know, with circumstantial evidence if you can compel a case and link it all together as to how the event actually happened. But that's the problem. We don't really have a crime scene. We have an empty house. We have her bike. We have a lot of compelling things as far as circumstantial evidence that kind of link together. The fact that she would never leave her daughters. Barry tried to say that, well, she left him and the daughters, and she probably ran off with, had an affair. Like, and it's true. She did at one time have an affair. There was a tumultuous relationship between the two of them. But in interviewing the man that she has the affair with, she's nowhere to be found. He's with his wife, happily, nothing going on. Um, Yep. Yeah, Juju, that damn circumstantial debate. Here we go. There is enough evidence though to actually compel, and it did go through jury. They did do that 148 page uh probable cause affidavit to get the warrant to have him arrested. He did spend time in jail. He did have been, his daughters have been staying. One of the most curious things that the media keeps going over and that gets talked about a lot is that the daughters are so supportive of him that he couldn't possibly have done this. They were very close to their mother. He's saying that she abandoned them. But everybody who knew Suzanne, all of her family, her friends, she was very popular. There are Reddits out there. People are still looking for her. There are YouTube channels dedicated to being her voice because she's still, her body has not been found. She is still missing, presumed dead. Um, and she was really well known and well loved in the area of Colorado where they lived. Um, she was the most popular one of the couple. Barry Morphew had all this stuff with his business. He had even his partners were actually giving affidavits against him and his weird behaviors. It was very messy. It's very messy, very dicey. And And as I state again, very circumstantial, no doubt about it. Jay and I went back and forth about it. He would not even consider this man guilty in any way because there was no body and no crime scene. He just wasn't going to go there. He said until they came up with a scrap of blood or violence or anything or how. It's one thing to say that someone murdered someone, and his point was if you can't even say how that murder happened, how do you actually prove this case? And he had a good point there because in the circumstantial evidence, we only have some speculation as to what may have happened, what kind of altercation could have happened um against Susan Morphew to have her no longer be with us. Okay. You can't, you're right, Liam. You can't convict for just being weird or unlikable. I mean, apparently he made a lot of enemies, okay? And he was charismatic and everything like that. But eventually people had things to say about him that, he did not do the right thing in business or whatever. There was talk of it being an abusive relationship, of her wanting to leave and actually wanting a divorce, all of that. It was juicy, the gossip, you know, because I'll tell you, it was definitely something I sunk my teeth in at the time. Well, the reason I'm talking about it now, not only for this $15 million lawsuit, you know, that he's got out there, which is going to be really hard to do. Because law enforcement has to prove their case. But if you don't go to trial to actually prove their case, there's not very many successful lawsuits. I mean, there are some, I will admit. Well, there's not very many successful lawsuits out there for people that are considered guilty or a suspect or a person of interest, and then it was turned out that they didn't actually get prosecuted. I mean, if you're allowed to sue for that because they're looking at you, there's going to be a lot of lawsuits. I mean, because that means everybody who actually didn't go to trial and get a conviction is going to be, able to sue. I mean, if you go to trial for murder and then you're considered innocent, are you going to be able to sue the law enforcement that actually put you in the spotlight for that? Here in America, we are a litigious country. Absolutely. It's a whole industry. People make their bread and butter and find careers on it. Uh, Money being made hand over fist everywhere in regards to litigation here in America. But I'm kind of don't think this should be a thing. I mean, I don't want people wrongfully prosecuted, and I do want them to have a voice on it. But hmm, Barry Morphew just sounds like stomping his feet and trying to deter from this. And one of the opinions out there right now, in theory, is that the whole reason to get this case pulled completely is to make the standing of the $15 million civil lawsuit better. Because, it's going to be hard to say, oh, you're disparaging me when there's still the opportunity that you could still go on trial for this. I mean, Barry Morphew seems to be very upset that they're not just dropping the whole thing. Well, prosecution is standing pretty firm, and it appears that the judge agrees with them that there's enough there, okay, and that it's going to stand, not going to reverse it, does not have the authority to, as long as the prosecution has gone through the process to be able to file against them, and they will have to again, okay, uh, go forward for another preliminary hearing and make sure there's enough evidence for a trial to go forward. They'll have to do the whole thing again. Will there be more compelling evidence? Who knows? What the investigation is leading to right now, we don't know. We just know that it's active. And we also know that the actual prosecution office itself is being investigated. Linda Stanley herself is being investigated to the hilt for not only the Barry Morphew case, but quite a few. There's the Tippett case. There's quite a few cases in her district that she has run afoul of judges, other prosecutors in the defense in general. Okay, discovery issues, gag order issues with her own staff and people, not turning things over when they should be, time delays, not following proper procedure, you name it. This woman has a complaint about it. um I can't believe she stayed employed for as long as she has. I really can't. Not with that kind of record. Not with that kind of record. Mm. Charlie, litigious? How dare you? Lawsuit. Sue me, boo. I'm ready. It's like in our blood here in America, right? Like, go ahead, sue me. Yes, that's it. That's the only thing I haven't done yet is get into an active lawsuit of my own in a court. Like, and I really don't want to, but sue me. Mm, we'll see. Yeah. Oh, oh, my glasses are like not working very well for me. Like I don't know. Okay. So, hey, Tony, how are you today? Okay. It's nice to see so many of you here. Thank you. Hey, Grace. Okay. Shill, Rocket Couch, anyone who I haven't mentioned who came in. Crazy Cats. Oh, you just got your notification now? Yeah, YouTube, like I got mine like the minute I went live, but I hear that others are getting them in dribs and drabs. 10 minutes later, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. What I see it. Hey, Wrecker. Nice to see you too. Hope your day is going well. Well, yep. Well, I'm glad. The good news is, Crazy Cat, that at least the notification went out this time, because there's been days that they haven't. They just playing with me. That's why I say, if you can, people, like, give it a help. Interaction actually does help with the algorithm and keeps things more active for the smaller accounts. So don't forget to like, share, comment. Put your questions or comments on the back of the videos. It does help all the small creators. So I ask you to help me and everyone else you watch, by being a little interactive. But on that, I do appreciate you being in the chat for the conversation, you know. Yeah. And Liam, if I was just looking at the comment again about you can't convict for just being weird. If you could, I think all of us, many of us, especially those of us in true crime that are actually following all this stuff, for mm, they would we would definitely we would keep the court systems busy, very, very, very busy. Yep. Mm. It, that's the good thing about playing catch up, Liam, is that if you're on replay anyway, and then you can just make a comment for the creator or whatever, it's like a good thing. I love replay. I can't watch everything I want to watch in a day with everyone going live and putting up videos and stuff like that. I've got wide berth of interest of things that I like to check into, and I just can't do it all every day. There's just no way. Yeah, I don't know. Mm. Okay, so back to Barry and Suzanne. Um, yeah, we just show you his daughters, as we were talking about them too. Barry's daughters did support him through the whole ordeal and have too. They've done interviews. They keep saying her dad is innocent. They also have given information to the attorney that was trying to get everything pulled, that their lives are hell now too, because of all these and the speculation and all of that you know you know but anyway, it failed. I listened to that and it just damn well failed. The judge was pretty stern about it. There is no precedent for it to pull it. It's still an open investigation. Yes, she admits that there was problems with the prosecution. Okay, and they were sanctioned, discovery, and for discovery issues, for not disclosing certain issues. And she rightly said that the admission of the evidence that they're in question for, the DNA and all of that, okay, that is definitely an issue for the court case. That happened, and you're allowed to bring it up. And you can tell the jury about it if it ever does go to court again. I mean, it's not like we're going to have the whole case tossed again because of that, because the prosecution pulled it itself. Now, if they were in trial, they probably could have went for a dismissal, or a something of that nature, if they had found that the defense had held anything back prior to it going to trial. It probably would have been, oh gosh, much more exciting and tumultuous, and may have got the charges removed totally. Who knows if it was adequately pleaded at the time and the motion was brought forward. But nope, wasn't a mistrial or a motion to dismiss, because at that time they weren't in court. Okay, but now they're trying to get the history rewritten in favor of Barry Morphew. And well, I'm kind of, for me personally, I'm kind of glad that the judge just stuck by, there's really no precedent there for that since, we haven't even gone to trial on this. And they do have the evidence. It did pass a grand jury. The misconduct of the prosecutor is being investigated, is being sanctioned, is being taken care of. And they will put others in charge of that case, I would hope, pretty soon. They have actually, not had Linda Stanley at the hearing, of course. That was Mark Hubert instead, or Herbert. It's Hurlbert, maybe Hurlbert. And he actually did a very good job for the prosecution, just saying, hey, we do have the opportunity to still look at this case. There is plenty here. I mean, 148-page, affidavit, probable cause affidavit. That's not light work. There was a lot of investigation going on. We've got lots linking him suspiciously from a person of interest to the one charged for the murder. No one else was ever charged. Okay, that was another thing that his attorney, um, Irish Etkin, brought up, was that the other person was not pursued. Yet they did check out that he was in another state at the time. The DNA was there. They cannot say how it got there, but he was not considered in the vicinity at the time, the other person's DNA. And the fact that it didn't get disclosed is making a really big problem, a really big problem. But they did actually look into him, just not as much as they did Barry Morphew. That's evident by the amount of circumstantial evidence they pulled together in regards to Barry Morphew. Now, another very interesting thing in regards to this hearing was that the evidence is now unsealed. And that is another thing that Barry Morphew tried to stop. The evidence is now public out there. We could see the sticky notes and some things. There's quite a few of it, not everything, but the things that happened after the change of venue in March, have been opened up, the documents. And for those of you that are murder minions or have joined the channel, we do actually have rooms where we keep some of this information that we acquire from the internet into files and things like that, the lawsuits and all. And that the actual link to that is available in the Barry Morphew room there. Well, another reason, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, as to why you may want to support the channel is access to the Discord. There's a lot of discussion that goes on there. There's a lot of sharing of information back and forth that if you like this kind of stuff and want to stay on top of it, sometimes just a stream a week with all the different amount of cases that we're looking into is just not enough. Well, we're posting in those rooms every day on almost every case, including the ones like Barry Morphew that was quite quiet for a while there until this. The last tidbit I'd like to talk about with Barry Morphew is while he's out there talking about his darn reputation, there's this little bit of information I would like to share with you that kind of throws that whole thing in a different light. I do agree he was kind of tried in the media. Well, he just pled guilty to voter fraud. He had to. hmm Yes, Barry Morphew, while his wife was missing, decided it would be, you know, a good idea, you know, to actually fill out his wife's voter registration, her mail-in voter registration, and send it in. hmm Yep, he did. And he's got, probation for that. But not exactly the smartest thing to do, you know. Um, Not at all. Just not smart at all. Okay. He that was in Colorado in Coffee County. Um, and they actually put out the articles and everything. Um he actually had to admit to it. He's guilty. She was not around. He did it. He knows he did it. He got a year's probation. Fine. But that's now on file. that he's done that, you know. But yeah. Suzanne Morphew, unfortunately, is still missing since Mother's Day in 2020. He was charged at that point for first-degree murder and tampering with the deceased body. In other words, they believe he removed the body. She was considered a missing person for a very long time, um, but no remains have ever been found. Um, it was almost a year, 2 years later, when they dismissed the charges at a pretrial hearing in April of 2022, last year. It was dismissed without prejudice. Okay, but now, like I said, Iris Etya, she wants it dismissed with with pred with prejudice so that it can't be refiled. And she actually did. I mean, this case is crazy because the link that I just dropped to you. Remember, I'm talking about this affidavit. It was, the probable cause affidavit as to when he got charged was about 148 pages. Well, Iris didn't want to be outdone. So her actual motion for civil rights complaint with demand for a trial by jury is 185 pages. And it's quite compelling reading, and it kind of just gives you the nuts and bolts of the case and what had happened. There's a lot there against Linda Stanley, of course, and the prosecution, and how the investigation was done in general. So for those of you that enjoy a little bit of legal reading like I do, um, it's toothy. Let's just say that. It's a lot to get through. I'll admit, and I'm not going to actually put it up on the screen and go through any of it, but just to tell you that, the civil lawsuit is probably going to go forward, because she does make some valid points of his rights. Whether or not he wins is another thing. Okay. Um, we'll have to see. But everybody does have the right to be litigious especially here in America. It just seems to be the thing. Okay. But on that one, I'm just gonna check the chat really quick and just see if there are any questions. And I just lost my pen. Um, just to see, members. Thank you, Crazy Cats, for the actual that's a compliment. For $2 a month, the perks you get are well worth it. I appreciate that, Crazy Cat, because you're pretty active in that Discord, and I see, and you do enjoy all the different rooms we have for posting and all the case stuff. So, thank you for that. It's always nice to hear that somebody is enjoying the perks of the membership. You know. Hello, T King. Thank you for joining us. It's nice to see you. Mrs. Cassandra, I hope you're feeling better. I do. He was really distressed. He thought it was his. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Hmm. Maybe. Maybe. But let me tell you, like, he may have thought it was his, but he also turned his in too. So he's not going to get away with that one, which is probably why he got the fine and the probation and all of that. Could have been worse. He could have gone to jail. That's the voter fraud is not a light thing. I mean, it's very well prosecuted here. It's terrible. Hello, Mary Beth. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Oh, you just got your notification too? A half an hour in. Wow. Yeah, YouTube's not my friend lately. I need your help, people. I really do. To get that straightened out, we've got to have more interaction in regards to the videos that go up. Just hitting that like button is going to help a lot. Putting a comment on the back of a video is supposedly one of the best ways to get them to realize there is interaction with everything and it's not actually a dead channel. So I'd appreciate it. One to there you go, Crazy. That's another one of the perks, thank you for mentioning, of joining the channel, is our gaming night, hosted by the absolutely magnificent High Inquisitor, the gaming game master. He is very entertaining, and he does a good job of keeping us all entertaining with new games and things like that. And we do that about once a week. And there are also pop-up conversations, pop-up gaming, all the time in the Discord. It is not the hugest Discord out there. There's only like 100 people in there, and I wouldn't say everyone is active. It's a creator Discord also. It's for the membership. It's also for all the creators that I collaborate with. They're all in there. Um, we all share abilities like video and audio and ideas and tech and problem solve and all kinds of stuff. It's a small, tiny little community currently. I see, but it is pretty active. You're somebody there from all different time zones to talk to and things like that. Hey, Pete, nice to see you. Oh, you're very interested in the Kohberger. Yes, I am too. And I've got something to go about that. We're going to go on that right next. As soon as I check for any more questions in regards to Morphew. I don't even know if I say Barry's name. I've been saying Morphew that way from the beginning, you know. So I wonder if he was controlling enough to be doing that even before she went missing and they just acted as usual. You know what, Liam? That is the speculation. They actually, during the investigation, they came up with lots of text messages, lots of interviews with her friends, her family that said, yes, Barry was very controlling and she had lived a very limited, controlled life because of it. Okay. She did, step out of the marriage. Oh, so did he, apparently. And there was a lot afterwards with a woman named Dakota, some shady stuff about packages being delivered, some actual invasion of the property after other people owned it. Weird, weird behaviors going on. Post during the investigation, before they actually went to trial, or because actually they didn't actually get to trial, the pre-trial hearing is when everything got dismissed, to be held over for another time. Well, the rumor is he was really controlling. It was not the best relationship, although they say he adored her and that she did love being a mom and that she was a happy person. That she was very well liked and personable, but that there was all this other stuff going on too, you know? Okay, so on that, I think that we're going to move on to our next issue, which also had uh, a hearing recently. Let's talk about Bryan Kohberger. Okay, there's a lot going on here. Not that I have a lot of settled answers for you, but let me just try to put it in a nutshell what's going on. We're still doing hearings right now on motions. The defense has filed a motion to get information from prosecution, stating that although prosecution has not really done anything wrong, there are time delays that are going on. They're not getting the information they need to adequately put forward an alibi in defense for Bryan Kohberger. One, they're asking for more time. In other words, to come forward with the alibi statement that is required within a certain amount of days. They are asking for more time on that. But specifically, the information that they are asking for is in regards to the FBI cell phone data and the white Elantra, the information on how they identified that, how they identified where it was. Apparently, the reports aren't finalized according to the statements by prosecution that was made in today's hearing, actually. Idaho is 3 hours behind me. So they actually went into court at 1:30 in Idaho, and it was like 4:30 here. But it was a real quick hearing. There were quite a few motions put out, and I have linked actually the filing below the website to get to it, and the filing by defense by Ann Taylor, who spoke the most in regards to why she was looking for all of this information. Um, it's about 85 pages, quite a few things that they're looking for. She also wanted the training records of three of the lead investigators and officers that actually conducted interviews and searches and did research in regards to this case. The prosecution actually, pushed back and said to the judge, listen, there's like 120 people involved in this investigation. We don't want to turn over training records. And the judge seemed to kind of agree, but she hasn't actually weighed down on it because then Ann Taylor for the defense for Bryan Kohberger pushed back and said, I want only these three, these main three, because actually it's a common defense tactic to go at the investigation when there's something this serious online. And when I say serious, I mean serious, because yesterday, Will Thompson, the prosecutor in this case, the lead prosecutor, although he didn't speak during this hearing today, he actually came out yesterday and said they're going for the death penalty. They actually are going to try to go for the death penalty on Bryan Kohberger. And that was big news. Okay. Now we don't know if it's going to go through yet, but yep, that's their intention. So, Ann Taylor, she's got her hands full. That makes things much more tenuous for Bryan. Of course, they're fighting tooth and nail to get information. She said they have thousands and thousands and thousands of records to go through, but they don't have the key ones that they want. And I will agree that the cell phone and the vehicle information is key, because that's what they got the arrest warrant for. That was actually put forward to the grand jury. She wants the grand jury evidence because that's what was put forward to charge him, and that's what she needs to go against. And she seems to feel that although the prosecution office is technically not doing anything wrong, she wanted the judge to order a date for that information to be released. And the judge did. The judge said, as far as the cell phone data information from the FBI in the white Elantra, the vehicle information, that needs to be turned over to the defense by the time they have their next hearing, which is July 14th. And at that hearing, they will talk about the motion to compel for more time needed, okay, and a couple of the other things that they left undone. But they were going to talk more about those things and give answers on July 14th, and that it will be readdressed. Okay. Wow. So, well, Bryan Kohberger's attorney is really trying to buckle down in there and do the best defense that they get, you know. But the training records are interesting because it will actually show whether they were of a level to do this kind of work, I guess, Jujubee. I was quite intrigued. I mean, they are building a typical defense. You have to go after the investigation, of course, and why they were charged. There's speculation now, based on the evidence that was released recently, on the other thing that they discussed was the gag order and then this stuff not being out in the public and all of that. Well, the dribs and drabs are coming through, and based on new information on the DNA and on the filing of Ann Taylor, when she was released the DNA information, she made a big squawk about this in her filing and motions to the court, because they found out that there was other DNA, male DNA, found at the scene. Okay. And that here's what they didn't find. And this like sticks out to me. I was thinking this like the whole time. Like they keep talking about this little bit of DNA that they found on the sheath that the knife supposedly that could have been used for the murders, allegedly, because they haven't found the knife. Okay. But they found the sheath, and it did have some trace DNA of that was actually typed to Bryan Kohberger. They actually laid it all out how they did it and all, and it seems copacetic. It seems that could actually belong to him. But here's what they didn't find in as far as DNA when they did all the searches of his apartment, his car, his everywhere. They found none of the victim's DNA anywhere in regards to Bryan Kohberger. They also have not found Bryan Kohberger's DNA in that very messy crime scene. I mean, I showed you pictures. They had blood seeping out the floorboards. They talk about multiple stem wounds. They talk about it was a mess. Okay, how did he get out of the house totally clean? Why is there not even the evidence of it being cleaned up? No chemical residence in the car, the apartment, anywhere on him, the clothing, anything that they found. Nothing. Nothing in regards to the victims, nor was his DNA found anywhere else. To me, I mean, that is like a perfect crime scene. If he's the one, like that was just stuck out like a Sore thumb. And it wasn't just me. There are legal minds out there that are thinking the same thing. And I linked one particularly excellent video by Andrea Burkhart below that I suggest you all check out if you haven't already. She just recently put it out. And she was like, you know, and I agree. I totally agree. Well, I'm not the lawyer. I want you to hear it from a lawyer. So that's why I linked it. Because I think she's spot on about that right there. Uh, but wow. Hmm. Yes, exactly. DNA from several, but they're talking about the sheath. Exactly. Now, it's not unusual that they would find male DNA in a okay, there's 5 college students that shared this home. There were parties going on all the time. These are young people in their 20s. Of course there's going to be DNA from other men in the thing. I'm not saying that they're murderers, okay? What I'm saying is they found all this other DNA, but only one spot of one tiny trace spot on a sheet of the suspected murderer, of the alleged killer. Okay? It's just wild. I know. Yeah, wait for it, right, Jujubee? Yep, It's crazy, Cats. This is what I'm thinking. Just breathing in a crime scene will leave traces of DNA. It's impossible he left no trace in that house. Exactly. So, is it not being released or does it not exist? Okay, because of with the gag order and also uh uh, judge judge actually readdressed. I know I crack up every time I say that. Judge, and that truly that's his name. Um, actually readdressed the gag order, and he wanted to emphasize that the media is kind of like making a thing about this, but it does include the law enforcement officers that are involved in the case. As a matter of fact, it includes everyone officially involved in the case, everyone in the defense and prosecuting, including their agents, which means that they hire people to do anything, investigators, whatnot, expert witnesses, all of that. Okay, anybody. Okay, it's covered. The gag order covers them. Okay. It also uncovers all of the retained witnesses, those that are going to be testifying, those that are now known to be part of the case, cannot speak about the case. That's standard. But the gag order is still in place for all of this, and it doesn't look like that's moving. And Judge was also pretty adamant about the media, with the very little licensing that they have to come in there with cameras, to already be violating it and being ridiculous. They're like, all you do is put the camera on Bryan. That's not fair. That's prejudicial. You got to show the whole court proceedings. None of this putting the camera on the documents that are on the desk. You guys are going afoul of it already. It doesn't sound like Judge is going to be very lenient about opening this up at all, especially with how the media currently is presenting themselves to Judge. And remember, it's up to Judge. They can they can put forward motions all they want and demand and this and that, but it's the judge's discretion on what it gets opened in his courtroom. That's just how it is in Idaho. Okay. And if they say no, it's no. Okay. What? Hmm. Crazy Kate says, it feels like he's guilty by circumstance simply because he was in that area at a certain time doesn't make him a murderer. Listen, this cell phone data that they gathered from the FBI that they put in the affidavit, for the arrest, the cell phone data, they have to make a probable cause for the arrest that they've got enough information. So they list the whole thing from the FBI in regards to that on the cell phone. But there's also I also linked a very interesting article down below in regards to cell phone triangulation. How even that evidence doesn't actually mean he was right there at the house. He was in the general area. White Elantras are very popular vehicles. They have to match actually the license plate and actually have him in the vehicle to actually be able to say that he was there. there is a lot of circumstantial evidence, and we have to remember that at this time it was very volatile. 4 young people were murdered in the middle of the night in a college town that went crazy, that had not seen anything like this in years and years and years. Okay, it was very unsettling. The police and law enforcement were bending over backwards to try to get, a suspect, or to calm everyone down, to say that, we've got somebody in custody. You can calm down. Like, it's not going to happen to your neighbors or your children. It was a bit of insanity. The media has taken off on these insanely. Okay. And I get that it's salacious. I get that it's going to like make or break careers here. I understand how the machine works, so to speak. It doesn't mean I'm really happy about it, because it does affect how trials happen. It does affect things. They can skew it. We don't even have a jury yet. And now, if they do get the death penalty, go forward with it, we need a jury that actually agrees with going forward with the death penalty, of a kind of death penalty mind. And there's another article down there in the description about that, and that whole process, and what that involves in regards to how the jury is going to have to be looking at things. We don't need all of this extra stuff out there, because this is hella serious. I mean, and also Idaho just made that not only do they have the chair, they got the firing squad back. Yeah, he could be facing a firing squad if he's convicted. Yep. Jujubee. They must have evidence of him entering the residence. That is a massive speculation. Don't spread that anywhere. Exactly. But the media has done so much, okay? And I feel for the families. The families are very upset about the gag order. The Gonzalez family in particular has spoke out a lot. But they do get the information from the investigation, and prosecution has offered to talk to them. And it was the Gonzalez's own attorneys that would not let them speak. So, you know, the judge actually reaffirmed, not in this hearing, but in several statements prior from the last hearing, that they are allowed to speak the family on this. And they do get information from the prosecutor. They can contact them. That part of the law and their rights is not being violated at all. But they want all basically they want him tried in public. They want everybody to know what happened. And I feel for them. I understand that need, that they want him persecuted, humiliated. They want everything out there. They want the world to see what's going on. You know, their children are gone. Their child is no longer here and doesn't have a life. And someone needs to pay for it. And they need to pay harshly. And I get that. But here, we have a system. And if you want them to pay harshly, we have to follow that system accurately. And we have to give him the best trial he can possibly get, so that if he is guilty, if they do convict him, it stands and he gets the punishment that he deserves. And you get the justice that the victims and the families and everyone left behind deserves. Right? But the media can interfere with that drastically. I do kind of like, here I am out here on YouTube talking about this stuff all the time. So, of course, I think some of it should be out there and we should be able to talk about it. But actual evidence before it's presented in court, I kind of have an issue with that. I do. You can talk about it, but don't show us. Don't put that. Don't give it to the media to splash all over the place. It became such a thing in other civil trials that I covered, but in a criminal trial, it should never happen. Never, ever, ever. I kind of am a little loose about it on civil, you know. I am a little looser about civil, because we're talking mostly about civil. Let's just face it, civil lawsuits, they're to prove a point or to make some money. Okay, they don't really do much as far as charging people with criminal charges or something, or put them in jail. They ruin reputations, yes. They cause great damage, yeah. They get the story out there. They do what they need to do. Okay. In regards to evidence in a civil suit, I don't feel as strongly as I do in a criminal suit. I really do think that all of this needs to be held close to the vest. Okay, you could talk about the actual arrest warrant in the affidavit, and they list it all, but don't show us. Don't show us. Like, I don't think it needs to be out there. You know. Yep, we got to actually convict beyond a reasonable doubt, and I get that. You know. Yeah. Let me just see. Oh. I do like, Jujubee, I do like Judge. I think he's very firm. I like that he sticks to his grounds. I like that he actually pointed to what the media was doing to make this mess themselves. He actually pointed in the hearing today as to what they're doing, as to why he may not be even considering going their way as far as opening up things to them, because they're acting like fools. And he proved it. He's proven it. They're just salaciously, just without a bit, overindulging the whole thing, just really like a dog with the bone, you know. I cannot wait to see the evidence. I mean, we are truly going into the trial with nothing. Which way will be convinced? Exactly. I think that's how it should be. We go in with nothing and they just lay out the case as it should. Because how many times have we heard about evidence and it's everywhere and it never even gets presented in the actual trial? It's not what the jury sees. Okay. The trial is all about what gets presented to the jury, what legally gets into the courtroom and presented to the jury. That is the only evidence that matters in a trial, in the case. There may be other evidence, but for whatever reason, if it's argued against or if there are problems with it and it's not put in, it doesn't matter to the case in front of the jury. They get to decide only on what they get presented. Okay. Yep. Liam says, I definitely want to see more than he was around the area at the time. Well, we do have the eyewitness that identified him, kind of, sort of, not as him. She doesn't know him, but a man fitting his description that was walking out of the building. Although they're compelling her to testify, she don't want to. And I don't blame her. Her life, because of the media, let's be clear here, her life was blown to hell because of this media outrage. Yes, it was. She was dogged. She was accused. She just went through a traumatic event, and people were like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? You know, everything was up for grabs. Her name was everywhere. Her family, even Bryan Kohberger's family, dogged. People that even had the last name that are no relation at all were having problems. Their businesses targeted. This is horrendous. This is absolutely despicable behavior. And it's not just the media. It's everybody who's got a judgment about the case now because the media put it out there this way. We all have to take a step back and remember that the system is this way for a reason, and it's to try to be fair to everybody involved. I understand how heartbreaking it is to think of those four young people. Let's just be clear who we're talking about here. Okay. These four young people, okay, 20 and 21. The oldest one, 21. Okay, they're gone. They deserve justice. I believe the outrage is all geared towards that. The horrific details that are being released about the crime. Just the fact that the crime committed, the four lives that are lost, the family that's left behind, traumatizing a college town, all the students in the college, everybody who thinks they know him, everybody that ever worked with Bryan Kohberger. You throw him into the mix, and now it's because he's a criminology student and he's got an interest in crime and this and that. The speculation on this was, of course it's him. He's weird. Of course it's him. He's crazy. Again, someone being persecuted because we don't like him. No, same thing with Barry Morphew. He was not likable. Okay, I get it. He was prosecuted in the media. Okay, and look at what happened. An overzealous prosecution who did not dot her I's or cross her T's, which is paramount in the legal system. If you don't bother to be organized and efficient, how can you possibly win? She just made a mockery of it. basically. Well, he wasn't likable. The media went for him. Like, there are Reddits that actually have him convicted right now based on every little piece of evidence that came out. Everything. Okay. Same thing going on with Kohberger. As soon as a name was released, it was guilty. The media was everywhere. And some of us that actually are doing this, you in the chat who talk with me about this all the time, I know you don't feel like that. I know we like to hear the details, but you want him to get a fair trial. If he is the murderer, you want a fair trial because you know that'll lead to justice. It won't get overturned. It won't get appealed. If we follow the system accurately, justice can be served. Yeah. I know, I know. The whole world does want to see it. I believe that's what you're saying. The whole world wants to see this piece. I do believe that they do. We want, like we did with Murdoch, right? We were fascinated and we wanted to see the murder trial. But there were rules in regards to media with that one, okay? And it did play out a lot better. I think it did. There was not evidence released that wasn't actually put out in the public that I can recall. And I know you know that case so well, Pete, because we were following it together and you were like instrumental in a lot of the things that got put forward for me. But I don't believe that they were actually had evidence out there in the media. They had speculation. Yes, they did. People were making videos. People were doing diagrams. People were linking things together. But the stuff that was presented, that was put back out there, people were actually uh using. You know. Mm. The- I, yeah, Liam. I know we want to see more than he was just like I said. Than he was just in the area. The families are too in the grief stage to be able to see the big picture. I feel for them all, including the Kohbergers. I'm with you, Juju B. That's what I keep saying. Mr. Gonzalez said it was the reason they moved to Idaho to societal give it when their family can't. Wow. I'm with you. Keep the evidence under lock and key until the trial. Exactly. Because what gets presented has to be presented clean. Okay? Not tossed out. We don't want all of this other stuff, you know. This is life and death for Kohberger, and you don't want the true killer to get away with it. This is true. They kind of zeroed in on one person really, really fast. And what if it's not him? This is months. This happened in November. It is now June, almost July, and we have only one suspect. They seem pretty confident they have their man. They have said so. Okay. But if the investigation is not continuing, you're right. What if a murderer gets away? I think he should take 3 polygraph tests by 3 separate independent experts from 3 different states to see if he passes or fails. True, but it will not be admissible. And he's a cool cucumber. I'm pretty sure he'll pass regardless of his level of involvement in this crime. I'm not sure, Jujubee, about the eyebrows. If we are so eyebrow obsessed this week after watching Black Mirror, I'm sorry, not sorry, but yeah, I've been looking at everybody's eyebrows all week. Mm. Yep, that was a big thing in this witness statement. The bushy eyebrows. True, true. True. Jujubee, I've seen that a lot on YouTube, and even in the podcasts. And I'd have to say, I mean, people do what they're interested in, and I understand. But I'm trying really hard not to, especially in this one, because of how fast everything came forward. And I agree, you can't really identify someone from one facial attribute. They did actually pull in the body style, the clothing that he normally kind of would wear, the hair. There was more to it than that as far as the statement that she gave. You know, I'm Which trial are we talking about watching together, Jujubee? If it's Kohberger, okay, I will tell you this. Might be a little hypocritical of me, but if they actually do put the Kohberger, if they put this one out there as a live trial, yes, I am going to give you all a place to talk about it because I think you're reasonable. I think that you're going to be good with it either way if they actually put the camera in there or they don't. If they do put the camera in there and it is available, and if it's a good feed like Murdaugh, okay, and not so much like Starch. If it's like Starch, it's going to be pretty hard to convince me to go through that horrible audio and video again, without being able to see evidence, just looking at Bryan Kohberger basically, and either the prosecution or the defense as they talk to the jury. Um, it's going to be difficult, but I might consider. I'm hoping it's a better feed. The Murdaugh trial, the Johnny Depp trial, those were great feeds to follow. They really were. You know. Yes, Jujubee, I'm so eyebrow obsessed right now. Ever since then, I just can't stop. Mm, wow. Mm. So, Pete, you actually think that they've got the guy, and you know what? Yep. Just wait to see how the trial appears there, Claire. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping. And if I do cover it, you be here, right, Pete? You and Jujubee, you keep me company because I'm gonna need company to get through another one. That's true. But the only way you can get through all of those hours is like having a bunch of people around supporting you and talking about it because oh my, that is actually a commitment. But I'm willing to do it for you guys if you're interested because it is intriguing to watch the process. I love watching that process. I'll tell you, it's enticing. Going through the Murdaugh trials with many of you here in the chat was actually what got me through every day. And those were long hours, right? With the breaks and this and that. But still, was that not like fascinating process? It, I would do it again. And I will on certain cases. I will. I'm not saying that I won't. Um, okay. The other thing, I've talked about it actually being the prosecution actually bringing up the fact that it's going to be death penalty. They're actually pushing for it. Okay. Um, Judge, we haven't heard any more. There's going to be another hearing, of course, July 14th. We're going forward. They have till July 14th to turn over some of this evidence to Ann Taylor and the defense team for Bryan Kohberger. But it does sound like his defense is actually working diligently hard with all of the information they gathered, okay, to put out a good defense. It sounds like she's doing the typical going to attack how the investigation was done, and considering how fast that they arrested him, um and the amount of work that was done, there's probably, if you were a defense attorney, you would probably do the same thing. Okay. Yep. Mm. And I can see, I can see that it does look like they rushed it. But if they had compelling evidence and they are looking at, again, tech tech info, cell data, cell phone data, the vehicle. They're looking at cams from all over the neighborhood. They're finding out where these vehicles were. They're tracing actual through the cameras and through everywhere that he was. They're able to actually trace the actual movements of Bryan Kohberger before and after. Okay. They did actually have enough evidence to get a search warrant in Pennsylvania for the parents' home, for his own home, off of campus where he attends, for his vehicle. They have interviewed everybody that he was in regards to being in contact with at the college, through his work, his family, his friends, everyone involved with the victims as for. But here's another thing that came out in Taylor's motions back to the court in regards to the evidence. They found out that he has actually no contact or tie to any of the victims, as has been erroneously, slanderously put out there by the media. You've seen them. Oh, did he stalk her at a? Did he stalk this one at a coffee shop? Did he actually send that one an Instagram message? Did he do this? Did he do that? I mean, there's a lot there. They did take 6 weeks. I hear you, but for the amount of evidence and everything that they have, that was still pretty quick, and you know it. They're talking about 1,100 bits of actual just technological information, the text messages and all of that. You know, that's a lot in 6 weeks. They worked hard. It was a massive investigation. I get it. Multiple agencies. I get it. The FBI, everybody involved. They did. I'm not saying they didn't do a good job. They did an excellent job under the pressure. It was a tumultuous situation. They were trying to get everything, settled down. I get it. But it does leave something you have to admit for the defense to go at. And not that I support that. I don't, because I hate to see law enforcement come under such scrutiny all the time. It is a horrific job. Okay. It is one of the most self-sacrificing jobs I can think of currently in our country here in America, because no matter what you do, you're wrong. No matter what you do, you're up for speculation, suspicion, pointing of fingers, this, that, and the other thing. Um, I have to give them massive credit. I have enormous amount of respect for anyone in law enforcement, all of the investigation teams. I actually do. Um, so I'm just saying how the media is doing it. But yes, Jujubee, this is what the media is who I'm mad at, not law enforcement at all. I think they did a bang up job. And if they think they got their guy, I want them to prove it. I do. Okay. But I want the media to let the actual system prove it, not them. Okay. Because these little armchair detectives over there, these media people, well, half the time they get most of it wrong, or they make the littlest thing the biggest thing, and they're missing the actual real deal on most of it. I'd have to say I mostly am upset with the media in how, I'm sorry, the more they do this, in my eyes, they are re-victimizing the victims for profit. Do they really care? Or that when they sensationalize, the grandmothers, the cousins, the aunts, everybody who has to see the pictures out there and hear the gruesome details in the press over and over and over again. These are the people I feel for. I do understand Mr. Gonzalez is wanting stuff out there. I get that. He's dealing with a lot of pain. But there's more than him. There's everyone who knew them. And there are some who just don't want you to keep doing it. Okay, we want justice. Yes, we do. But can we do it with a little less pain and sensationalism? You know what I mean? I know. Some people think I'm really naive, and I probably am about this. I will admit, I tell you this all the time. I am always looking through those rose colored glasses because I want to deal with the world the way I want it to be. I do have a good grasp of reality. I know how it is. But that doesn't mean I don't want better. That doesn't mean I don't want to see better in people, and especially the media right now, in regards to this case in particular. You know, I know I'm asking too much, Maya. I am. But if I don't have hope that it can be that way, then what the hell are we here for? If we don't move towards the better way, at least a little, you know, then why bother? Why are we all here? Exactly. It's asking too much, like a snap of a finger, for them to just fly right. I get it. Because, it's the media. And, they've got their own agenda. I truly get it. Like I said, grounded in reality, I know how it is. I see it. I know how it is. I got the real world deal. I do. But do I want them to act just a little bit better about it? Yes, because I think that will actually give the families and the victims the justice they deserve. All of us, the justice that we need to have in cases like this. You know, just the facts media. Exactly. I wish, Jujubee. I really do wish. And it's nice to see you here, Maya. Thank you. And Pete, thanks for another hashtag. Claire, I am a little naive bear. It's better than Claire. Would you tell me the other day, Claire? I am not a lawyer, bear. I was like, you You always make me smile, Pete, and you always give me something to chew on, something to think about, and I appreciate that. Like, I am so glad we met over that other trial because you've actually brought that to me on a regular basis, and I'm very grateful for it. A smile and a thought, making me think, getting my brain ticking again, Yeah. Okay, so, did you see how they caught the Unabomber? By comparison, a phrase that he used in his dissertation and in one of his letters, a common misused phrase, but he used it correctly. Yes, the details on that. And also about the Unabomber, the sketch, right? Did anybody, I think, Tony, you mentioned that. The sketch of the Unabomber was actually second sketch was actually the sketch of the sketch artist kind of thing. It was actually insane. Yep. It looked it up, and it's only an unsubstantial hypothesis, but the witness only saw the Unabomber for a few seconds exactly. But they did get him, and he recently passed away. Did he not? Yeah. Um, I may have put this up already, but I'm going to put it up again. The media should feel ashamed of themselves. Yes, I agree. I do. Okay. Well, you know what? If you guys don't have any more questions, I'm gonna lend this. I know, oh Lord Kumbaya. I get it, Maya. I do. It is a little bit pie in the sky, I'll admit. But hey, I can only keep hoping. And I can only keep talking about it. Because if I just can't help it. Like, how is it going to change? If we all just sit here and accept it, like, if we just take that attitude, oh, Claire, you're asking for too much. I agree, I am. Okay. But if we all just sit here and say that that's okay, is it ever going to stop? Is it only going to get worse? You know, this is the thing. They say, see something, say something. And I know they mean it about crime and this and the other thing, but also about things that you think are wrong. If we don't keep talking about how they should just knock it the hell off, they're never going to knock it the hell off. They're not going to stop. They're really not. You know, you know. So that's why, though it makes me sound naive and a little like, you know, gullible even, that I think it can change, because I know it's going to be a hell of a long process. And they really, with their agenda, they've got no real motivation to change, do they? They have no real motivation to stop doing this, to stop putting everything out there the way. The only ones who control it are the judges. And right now, the judges are actually getting a real lot of heat for keeping things closer to the vest because they're trying to protect the process. That's their job. And hell, thank goodness for them that they're doing it. That's what I have to say about that. Thank goodness that they are. So everybody coming at these judges for not opening everything up right away and doing this. When they see crazy, they're allowed to say they see crazy. When they see disadvantage to the process, they're allowed to say so, and they can stop it. And this is the only tool that they have to do, by keeping them out. If you're not going to fly right, you don't get to fly in my courtroom. That's what they're saying. Okay. And Judge did a good job of that today. Okay. Do you ever think about, if Kohberger is innocent, how messed up it is that he is spending a year in jail? I do. But then again, I understand why. If he is the murderer, the horrendousness of the crime is what made it no bail. It was a horrible, horrible crime, a disregard of life, which makes him a danger to the public in general and even to himself. So I can understand why he would be in there, And they did have enough to get him arrested. True, Maya. We all want world peace. It may come at a cost of a little anarchy, just a little. Yeah, I get it. We're all there with you. I get it, Maya. We think alike in some aspects that way. I'm just like a little more soft when I talk about how I want things to be. I try not to I try not to focus on how it may not ever be that way. You know what I mean? Because I want to get through every day with a little bit of hope. Just a little bit. Thank you, Pete. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Juju, also, and everybody who is talking in the chat, Maya, and the rest of you who came to carry on the conversations. I hope you'll be back. We've got more this week, just a little bit of a channel update kind of stuff. We are going to be doing the challenge again with my new panel of friends. Actually, they're not new. I've done work with all of them before on YouTube. I've had fun with them, but we're going to be paneling with JL Warren, Patrick the Great, that damn cat, and Charlie Welsh again. And we're going to be doing the challenge, and this time it's going to be on the most horrific horror movie or series that we were ever involved in that actually scared us or terrified us. Like the best worst, I guess is what you're saying. Like the best horror out there. And JL Warren, Weekend Horror. This is his thing. And I do believe we'll be you can quote me, but don't hold me to it. But I do believe we'll be streaming on his channel this week. We do take turns on all of our channels. This is a new thing for me, but I'm enjoying it. It's like entertainment commentary, and it's a lot of fun. We actually, the four of us, come up with something separate. We debate, and then you guys vote on it on who wins. And I got second last week. Well, Charlie won. Patrick the Great won the first week, but rumor is he cheated. You heard it here first, or actually often, because we've been saying it since that day. so, but no, no, I just. I'm also going to be doing, what the if at the end of the week. Of course, going over some of the shenanigans going on in social media platforms everywhere and in the media, and then again Saturday, just the perfect end to start like that weekend thing. I'm going to be doing Black Mirror again. I can't wait. We're going to be covering episode 3. And you all know I'm a Brooker fan. It is so much fun and I can't wait for it. But it's back to be, I'm just happy to be back with you guys. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I've been here doing this. Yeah. Oh, hey Mandy, it's so good to see you. I'm glad you stopped by though. Kohberger is very interesting. And Mandy, I want to talk to you about that. I'm so used to talking to you about these high profile cases. I'd like to have a word with you about this one. I would like to see where you're coming from on this. When you get some time, I know how busy you've been. Thank you, Wrecker, and thank you everybody who came by. Thank you to my moderators, okay? Who are just amazing. I couldn't do this without you. You make it easy for me. I so appreciate you. To all of the members of the channel and the Discord, don't forget we'll probably have game night this week. Okay, I believe it's tomorrow. I may or may not put out political. I do have a lot to say in regards to that also, but I'm still got my thinking cap on that. You may get a surprise afternoon stream. I'm not sure. But on that, I think I'll say good night. Thank you so much. Please remember to like, share, and to also, comment on that video. Anything that you got questions, comments, anything about it, anything. You can also come to me for other things you want to talk about. I don't cover every case. I told you I need a hook for it. There's got to be something besides it just being in the media, besides it just being, murders are horrible, kidnappings are horrible, abuse is terrible. It's all ugly, horrible, and it all should be covered in some way out there. By somebody, but I just don't think it needs to be me. Like there's so many channels out there. I really just want to cover the ones that intrigue me because then I figure I'll do the best job for you. I do spend a lot of time researching. I try to get all of the documents and the facts that I can, and keeping up on it. And I don't want to add like just a bunch of fluff, although murder's not fluff. You know what I mean. I don't want to add a bunch of extra cases that I don't really feel invested in. I don't think I do the best job for you, but you're welcome to suggest anything and we can discuss. Okay. So murder is bad. Okay. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah. That's my little bit of um that's my little bit of a, well, I don't know what you would say, just my misnomer for the day. Rocket Couch is the quote that'll get me in trouble. I look forward to the DMs of y'all giving me what for that one. But on that, okay, I'm gonna put the outro on now, and I will see you all in if not tomorrow, then definitely Thursday. I hope. Have a good one, and thank you all for being here.